Have you ever wished to have access to a person's history and background outside of social media to gauge if they're a trustworthy person or not? The Nosedive episode from the hit Netflix show, Black Mirror, touches upon this possibility and how damaging it can be to people. This show has become one of the platform's most popular programs because many people are concerned that the rather dystopian society within the show is slowly starting to become our reality, and China's new social credit score system is slowly proving this concern to be true. Keep watching and discover what happens if each country uses a social credit score like China.
China's social credit experiment uses surveillance and public shaming to manipulate people's behavior. Though it tries to sort the good apples from the bad, is the system itself rotten?
What if each country uses a social credit score system like China? In 2014, the Chinese government proposed the idea of having a social credit score system throughout the country to monitor their citizens' behavior and build trust among the people. The government decided that the best way to do this was to assign a unique credit code to every individual, which would hold almost all of their data from their driving records to the amount of money they have spent on online shopping sites. This information will be available for anyone as long as they know the person's credit number. Depending on your records and the people or algorithm that decides if your actions are good or bad, your social credit score will be affected. There are certain punishments for people with bad credit scores, like slower internet, or inability to buy certain luxuries, like traveling. On the other hand, people who are good citizens according to their social credit scores are rewarded through discounts for utilities and the privilege to travel more easily. Now, if this system was implemented in all countries, what would that be like? There are really no official guidelines or regulations on how it is decided if an action is good or bad, so even if the same system is used in all countries, how it is implemented can still differ greatly. And since the system is arbitrary, this system might benefit certain groups of people and be potentially dangerous to some. However, this system is great for people, especially women, who frequently use dating sites and struggle to find people who are worth their time. This is beneficial to them because, in its current structure, the system can also show you how much money a person has spent on online shopping sites, how many games they have bought before, and the amount of time they usually spend on gaming. Want to date someone who is financially stable or don't want to date someone who spends hours upon hours playing video games? You can just check the system. You won't have to waste your time anymore or worry that they may not be a match for you. Implementing this system throughout the world might also lessen the crime rates and improve overall social behavior amongst the people. Although the authorities from most countries do a great job at filing and storing the records of misbehaving people, the general public does not have access to that information. Therefore, it is a lot easier for criminals to go under the radar. But suppose all people and business establishments have access to the information. In that case, people who misbehave or have low social credit scores will have fewer privileges. And that threat of being stripped away of their privileges is enough motivation for people to be good citizens. Although there are quite a few advantages to this system, a lot of people don't seem to approve of its implementation because the concern is that the cons outweigh the pros. Why is the social credit score system so controversial?
Situation regarding Taiwan. I explained how even the US State Department admits that Taiwan is part of China and that the United States is essentially violating agreements that it made with Beijing and also violating international law.
Since the social credit score system started getting public attention, people have been linking it to dystopian societies in media, such as the Nosedive episode on Netflix. Even though there are certainly similarities between the Nosedive episode and China's social credit score system, the lesson behind Nosedive is that because of social media, people have been putting a ton of pressure on themselves to be likable on social media because it has become the basis of how other people will treat you. On the other hand, this system doesn't involve social media. Instead of other people rating you, it's the government. But aside from the comparisons to a fictional dystopian society, there are serious dangers to this social credit score system, especially if it is used in every country in the world, as previously mentioned. Because there are no official regulations to the system, and given that the justice system is also flawed, there will be certain groups of people will suffer greatly more than others because of the social credit score system. For example, in the United States, minority groups like people of color or the LGBTQ community might become more susceptible to getting a lower social credit score. And we can already see this happening in China. Although it doesn't necessarily involve people of color or the LGBTQ community, the government has started blacklisting certain people that they deem as enemies.
A federal judge has temporarily blocked portions of a new Florida law that bans transgender minors from receiving puberty blockers.
Wired UK states, in China, there is no such thing as the rule of law. Regulations that can be largely apolitical on the surface can be political when the Communist Party of China, CCP, decides to use them for political purposes. This is what happened to Chinese journalist Liu Hu, who, because of the nature of his work and his exposing the corruption within the Chinese government, was arrested and then blacklisted in the social credit system. Hu talks about what he has to deal with after getting blacklisted. There was no file, no police warrant, no official advance notification. They just cut me off from the things I was once entitled to. What's really scary is there's nothing you can do about it. You can report to no one. You are stuck in the middle of nowhere. And, according to Chinese researcher Jing Zheng, says that the only way to get out of the block list is to pay money to the government. She says, bring your money to the court and then you get removed from the system. It's not a judicial system by itself. It's still the court you need to appeal to. So, if you get a bad social credit score, or if you piss off the government, it is basically guaranteed that your life will be miserable. This social credit score system also opens up an opportunity for more subdivisions of classes and a hierarchy based on people's credit scores. Many people are also concerned with the fact that this system gathers so much of their data that is mostly unprotected, so they are afraid that it might get hacked and fall into the wrong hands. Aside from this, many people have also pointed out that this system is just another stricter way of surveilling the Chinese people and a way to justify the wrongful use of power. Should we really be worried of the social credit score system? It is clear that there are several risks to this proposed system, but experts say that a lot of the concerns around it are just misconceptions. One of these misconceptions is that the general public can use another person's credit score to discriminate against them, which the government says isn't true, and the score is most likely used like a loyalty rewards program card. The experts from Mercator Institute for China Studies also say that there is nothing to be scared of over the concern of mass surveillance, because it is only meant to monitor a person's business and marketplace behavior. Even though there has been a continuous effort to push this system to be used in the whole country, it seems like it will not be happening soon because China is a big country, and the data needed for this system is gathered manually by humans. So, this system might not be a concern for the Chinese people, or at least not yet. So are you in favor of the social credit score system being implemented in China? Now that you've heard what would happen if each country uses a credit score like China, what would you do if your country had the same system in reality? Do you think that the experts are right to say there's nothing to worry about this system? I would love to hear your thoughts about this, so let me know and join the conversation in the comment section below.